Right now, while your phone sits on your nightstand, it is sending data. Not because an app is open, not because you're using it, because background SDKs embedded inside 15 different apps you installed are sending pings every few minutes to advertising servers around the world. Each ping carries a small piece of you. In 2020, the Norwegian Consumer Council audited 10 popular apps. They traced data flowing from those 10 apps to 135 separate third parties. One menstrual tracking app was sharing cycle data with 8 ad networks. A dating app was sharing sexual orientation. A weather app was sharing precise GPS coordinates. None of this was disclosed in plain language. All of it was legal. In 2018, the New York Times bought a single data set from a location broker. It contained the precise movements of 12 million Americans. They identified a Microsoft engineer's commute, a school teacher's weekends, and a federal agent visiting a clinic. By name, just from anonymous coordinates. Cambridge Analytica harvested 87 million profiles. The location broker Xmode was banned by the FTC in January 2024 for selling visits to abortion clinics, places of worship, and domestic abuse shelters. This is not a hypothetical. The data broker Axiom, a company you probably never installed and never agreed to, claims to hold over 1,500 individual data points on roughly 2.5 billion people. Income brackets, health conditions, political leanings, recent purchases, fertility status, who you live with. They sell this, legally, to anyone with a corporate purchase order. Let's start with the thing everyone believes. You mention running shoes out loud, and an ad for running shoes appears on your feed an hour later. The conclusion feels obvious. The phone is listening. Almost everyone has had this experience. Almost everyone is wrong about its cause. In 2018, a team at Northeastern University ran the largest audit ever attempted. 17,260 Android apps. They monitored every byte of audio and video that left the device. They found media being sent to third parties, but it was screen recordings of session replays, not microphone captures. Not a single app was recording audio and shipping it to ad networks. The phone is listening theory does not survive contact with measurement. So how does the ad appear right after you said the words? Inference. Your partner searched for running shoes last week. You share a Wi-Fi network that connects you in the ad graph. Your phone's GPS shows you near a sporting goods store yesterday. Your step counter shows a spike. Your purchase history shows you bought running gear 2 years ago. The model doesn't need to hear you. It already knows. The conversation is just a coincidence. Your brain noticed it because it confirmed a suspicion. Confirmation bias, meet ad targeting. What ad networks actually use is probabilistic modeling on hundreds of features per user. They are not listening for keywords. They are computing, every minute for billions of people, the probability that you'll click on each of 10,000 possible ads. The audio theory is dramatic. The truth is more disturbing. They don't need to listen because the inference is already that good. If they were listening, they'd be wasting compute. They already know. Modern tracking has 3 layers. Most people argue about layer 1 and ignore the other 2. Layer 1, identifiers. Layer 2, behavioral signals. Layer 3, inference. The first layer is what regulators try to police. The second layer is where the real data lives. The third layer is where the manipulation happens. Layer 1, identifiers. The thing you've heard of. Your phone has an advertising ID. Apple calls it the IDFA. Google calls it the AAID. It's a unique string assigned to your device, meant for ad attribution. You can reset it. After Apple's App Tracking Transparency launched in 2021, only 20 to 30% of users globally opt in to share it. So advertisers responded by switching to fingerprinting. Your user agent, screen resolution, installed fonts, time zone, GPU model, battery level, audio context. Combined, those signals identify your specific device with greater than 99% uniqueness. and you cannot reset your screen size. The EFF has been measuring this for over a decade. Their tool, Cover Your Tracks, tests your browser's fingerprint. Most browsers come back as uniquely identifiable among millions of others. The math is information theory. Each signal contributes bits of entropy. About 33 bits is enough to single out one human on Earth. A browser leaks 30 to 40 bits, easily. You have a fingerprint whether you wanted one or not. Layer 2. Behavioral signals. The IDs say who you are. The signals say what you do. Every tap, every scroll, every dwell time, every video that played past 2 seconds, every time you return to a screen. These are sent as event streams, usually called telemetry or analytics. A typical popular app contains 5 to 15 separate analytics SDKs. Each one of those SDKs sees your events. Many of them sell what they see. Here's what an actual mobile app's initialization looks like. 8 SDKs, initialized at app launch, each receiving a copy of every event. Firebase for analytics. AppsFlyer for attribution. Adjust for attribution. Facebook for retargeting. Branch for deep links. Mixpanel for product analytics. Amplitude for product analytics. Sentry for crash reporting. Many also receive your advertising ID, your IP, your device model, your locale, and your install referrer. None of this is illegal. Most of it is invisible in your privacy policy summary. Layer 3. Inference. The model takes the IDs and the behaviors and predicts who you are, what you'll buy, what you fear, when you're likely to spend. This is where tracking becomes targeting, and this layer almost never appears in privacy policies because it's not data you gave them, it's data they computed. Open any news website. The moment the page starts loading, a process begins that finishes before the page even renders. It takes about 200 milliseconds. In that window, an auction is held, not for the article, for the empty rectangle on the page where an ad will go. The protocol is called real-time bidding, RTB, and the data it broadcasts about you to win that auction is staggering. Here is what your phone or browser actually broadcasts during the auction. A JSON document. Your latitude and longitude, usually rounded but often not. Your advertising ID. Your inferred gender and birth year. The content category of the page you're on, pulled from the IAB taxonomy, with values like pregnancy, cancer support, gambling addiction, LGBTQ+ resources. Your identity graph references, pointers to other systems that know more about you. Sometimes your IP, sometimes your device's IMEI. And here is the part that breaks people. That JSON document is not sent to one buyer. It's broadcast to between 50 and several hundred ad exchanges and bidders simultaneously on every single ad impression. The bidders that don't win the auction still receive and store your data. Loading one page can mean 300 companies just received your location, your device ID, and the fact that you were reading about, say, a specific health condition. Johnny Ryan, a researcher at the Irish Council for Civil Liberties, captured real RTB streams in 2022. He documented bid requests broadcasting the fact that specific users were reading content about HIV, substance abuse, child abuse support, and political dissent to hundreds of companies in real time. Many of those companies retain bid data for months. Some sell it onward. There is no technical mechanism to recall a bid request once it's been broadcast. GDPR was supposed to fix this. The industry's answer was the IAB's Transparency and Consent Framework, TCF. A small string is added to the bid request claiming you consented. Multiple regulators, including Belgium's Data Protection Authority, in 2022, have ruled the TCF itself violates GDPR. The bid stream continues. The fines are smaller than the revenue. The math is clear. RTB is the largest data leak in human history. It happens every 200 milliseconds on every web page you visit. If you have never installed Facebook, or you deleted your account 10 years ago, Facebook still has a profile of you. So does Google, so do most ad networks. It's called a shadow profile. The mechanism is contact upload. When your friend installs an app and grants contacts permission, their phone uploads your name, your number, your email, and the network builds a node for you. You never signed a terms of service. You're in the graph anyway. This is not speculation. In April 2018, during congressional testimony, Mark Zuckerberg confirmed under questioning that Facebook collects data on non-users for what the company called security purposes. The technical term inside the industry is shadow profile. Senator Ben Lujan of New Mexico asked the question. The answer became one of the most documented admissions in tech history. Most other ad networks operate the same way. They just haven't been called to testify about it. Stitching identifiers across devices is a separate industry. Identity graph providers, LiveRamp, ID5, the Trade Desk's Unified ID, Google's Privacy Sandbox topics. Link your phone IDFA to your laptop cookie, to your work email to your home IP address. They use deterministic signals where they can, when you log into the same service from two devices, and probabilistic signals where they can't. IP plus user agent plus time of day plus location pattern is usually enough to merge devices belonging to one person with very high confidence. This is also why incognito mode does very little. Incognito clears cookies. It does not change your IP address from your home router. It does not change your device fingerprint. It does not change your typing pattern, your scroll velocity, or the unique way your browser renders a hidden canvas. The systems that follow you are designed to survive cookie deletion. They're built for it. You don't have a profile. You have a graph. And the graph has neighbors you've never met. Targeting started as an efficiency tool. It became an exclusion engine. In 2016, ProPublica showed Facebook's ad system allowed advertisers to exclude users by ethnic affinity. Housing ads were running that excluded protected classes, illegal under the U.S. Fair Housing Act since 1968. Facebook settled with the Department of Housing and Urban Development in 2022 and was required to redesign the system. Other platforms have similar mechanisms, with less press coverage. Targeting also surfaces vulnerability. Internal documents leaked from Facebook's Australian office in 2017 described the platform's ability to identify the moments when teenagers felt worthless or insecure and align ads to those moments. Facebook denied the implication. Independent research, including Reset Australia's 2021 report, has shown that ad targeting categories like gambling, extreme weight loss, and alcohol are routinely served to users whose behavioral profiles indicate vulnerability. The systems don't know what vulnerable means morally. They know it means high click-through rate. It also shapes what you pay. In 2012, the Wall Street Journal documented Staples.com, showing different prices to different users based on inferred location and competition. Hotel sites have repeatedly been caught, showing higher prices to users on Mac devices. Insurance algorithms have been audited, finding higher quotes for users in zip codes correlated with race, even when race is not an input. The discrimination doesn't have to be intentional. The model just optimizes for revenue, and the data carries the bias. And it shapes what others know about you. In 2018, the New York Times bought location data from a single broker. They tracked a federal agent from a Pentagon office to a private home, then back. They tracked a teacher's full schedule. The data was sold as anonymous. It was de-anonymized in a few hours by anyone who knew what time the subject left their own house. Anonymity in location data is mathematically false. 4 time-stamped points are enough to uniquely identify 95% of individuals. Yves Alexandre de Montjoie, 2013, Nature Scientific Reports. There is no anonymous location data. There is only data not yet de-anonymized. If you want to reduce tracking, not eliminate it, reduce it, here's what actually works, ranked by impact. None of it is total. All of it is real. First, your browser. Switch to Firefox or Brave. Install uBlock Origin. On a typical news website, this combination will block 30 to 50 network requests to trackers per page load. It's the single highest impact change you can make. Chrome's default protection is the weakest of the major browsers because Google's revenue model depends on the ecosystem you'd be blocking. This isn't a conspiracy claim. It's stated in their own SEC filings. Second, your DNS. Most tracking happens by your phone connecting to specific tracker domains. If your DNS resolver refuses to resolve those domains, the connection never happens. Services like NextDNS, AdGuard DNS, or Pi-hole at the router level can block 50 to 70% of mobile tracking at the network layer before the app even sends a request. This works even for apps. It works even when the app has no opt-out. Third, audit your apps. iOS has a built-in app privacy report. Settings, privacy, app privacy report. Turn it on. Wait a week. You will see, app by app, every domain each one contacted, how often and at what time. You will find apps you forgot about pinging trackers thousands of times. Delete those apps. Android equivalents are weaker, but the Exodus Privacy Project, exodusprivacy.eu.org, lets you scan any Android app's tracker list before you install it. Fourth, flip the OS level switches. On iOS, allow apps to request to track, off. Personalized ads, off. Significant locations, off. This one alone stops your phone from building a record of every place you've been. On Android, Ads section, opt out of ads personalization, reset advertising ID. These don't stop tracking, they make it harder. Combined with the previous steps, they materially shrink your data shadow. You will not opt out. The system was not designed to let you. But you can take 90% of the volume off the table, and that's worth doing. Here's the part nobody tells you. The conversation about privacy is usually framed as tech companies versus you. That's not the right frame. The right frame is, there is an industry, a $100 billion industry, whose product is the prediction of your behavior, and whose raw material is everything you do online and most of what you do offline. The companies you've heard of are the visible front end. Behind them are thousands of brokers, exchanges, and bidders you've never heard of, holding more data on you than your closest friend. Privacy is not a feature, it's a power asymmetry. Every tool you use has been designed by someone whose business model depends on knowing more about you than you know about them. The question isn't whether you can stop this. You can't individually. The question is what you do with that fact. You harden the easy stuff. You support the laws that work. GDPR has flaws, but it forced disclosure that wouldn't otherwise exist. You stop pretending incognito mode or a VPN solves it. And you stay calm, because the conspiracy version of this story is wrong, and the boring version is much worse. They don't need to listen to your conversations. They have everything else. That's the harder thing to accept. So, the phone isn't listening, the inference is that good. Tracking has 3 layers, and most regulation only addresses the first. Real-time bidding broadcasts your data to hundreds of companies on every page load. Shadow profiles exist for people who never signed up, and the only thing that meaningfully reduces tracking is hardening the browser and the network layer, because the apps and the websites won't fix this for you. If this was useful, subscribe. Next, how real-time bidding actually works, deep dive. No tinfoil.